Hello everyone. In this video, we'll have a look at the argument essay and what are points to keep in mind while writing the argument essay. So let's first understand the task here. On the argument essay, our ability to think critically and communicate our ideas is what they're trying to assess. The analytical writing assessment section of the exam requires that you analyze the reasoning behind a given argument. So an argument is given to you. It's a short passage and your task is to simply identify the reasoning behind the argument and then critique if the argument is good or bad, how sound the reasoning of the author is. So your ability to think critically and to communicate your ideas through an essay in English is measured. The arguments on the test include topics of general interest related to business, a variety of other subjects. Specific knowledge of the essay topic is not necessary. So you don't need to have any prior experience of the essay topic. Only your capacity to write analytically is assessed here. So even if you find the topic something new, something which you've not heard of, that's absolutely fine because all we have to do is critique the given argument here. So let's first understand what an argument really is. So any argument that you will find on your essay task is made up of two components: conclusion and premise. Now, conclusion is the main point, is the central idea of the author, something that the author wants you to believe. And premise is the evidence, is the reasoning used by author in order to support the conclusion. So our task on the essay here is to identify conclusion, premise, and evaluate the reasoning of the author here. So we'll have to find out if there are any assumptions made by the author, if there are any flaws in the argument, and then explain these assumptions and flaws in detail. So let's have a look at a template that can help you plan your essay and will reduce a lot of work that you simply can plan ahead of your essay task. Now, we have a lot of different types of assumptions or flaws or different types of patterns in these arguments. So let me just give you an overview of what are some of the most common patterns of argument that you will find on the essay task. Now, one of the most common type of flaw or pattern of the argument is what we call as a cause effect argument. So in this type of argument, there is a causal relationship between conclusion and premise. So whenever you find an argument which gives you an X causes Y scenario, it is definitely going to be a cause effect argument. Now, in such arguments, the author is assuming that X is the only cause, that it's not a coincidence, and effect follows cause, meaning that X can cause Y, Y cannot cause X. Now, any argument which follows the same pattern will have the same assumptions. Therefore, if we know these different types of flaws, if we understand these different patterns, it'll be easier for us to evaluate and critique the argument in less time. Now, if you have to strengthen this argument, all you have to do is support any of these assumptions. If you have to weaken, you simply challenge any of these assumptions. However, on our essay task, we simply have to find out different ways how author could have written a better argument. We'll talk about that in a moment. Another common flaw is that of planning here. So you'll find some arguments which will recommend something, which might recommend a strategy, which might offer a plan to a given problem here. And that setup is known as a planning argument, where author presents a problem and offers a plan to solve the problem. So obviously, the assumption made by the author here is that plan will work, that the plan will solve the problem, or in other words, that plan will achieve the goal. So knowing that on any planning argument, doesn't matter what the plan or problem really is, guys. It could be any problem. It could be a scientific problem, business problem, doesn't matter what. Any argument which works on the same principle will assume the same thing. So the moment you identify that an argument has a planning flaw, you can simply evaluate its assumptions. You can simply explain in detail that the author is simply assuming without proper evidence that the plan will work or that it will achieve the goal. In order to support such arguments, you'll have to support the plan. You'll have to show that how the plan will work, or what other evidence do we need to show that the plan can work. How to identify such arguments? There are certain indicators. You will find words like plan, proposal, goal, aim, recommend, strategy, policy, etc. in order to identify planning arguments. Next, we have a sample flaw, another very common type of argument that you'll find on these questions. So sample and survey is basically when the author picks up a subset. So any sample, we pick up a subset of out of the general population, and we simply assume that the subset is a general representative. That subset represents everyone. So for example, we are conducting a study on a subset of the population, and whatever results we get, we sort of generalize those results for everyone. So therefore, we are assuming that subset represents everyone. Data is valid. Whatever data is being used is also true. In order to support such arguments, we have to show that sample is representative. We have to show that data is valid. However, in case we have to weaken, we simply have to point out that data is biased or it's not valid. Indicators, you will find words like sample, survey, volunteers, group of people, etc. in such arguments. Next is an analogy flaw, a very easy one to spot. This is basically when the author compares two things. So whenever the author is drawing a comparison, the most basic assumption here is that X and Y are similar or X and Y are comparable. So you will find this in a lot of arguments where author randomly compares two things without proper evidence. All right. For example, the author might simply say that since New York has a metro rail system, it will be better if we have a similar metro system in Delhi as well. So now the author is comparing two cities without proper evidence. So you have to simply exploit, or you have to explain in detail that why is it a problem? Why is it a flaw here? In order to support, we have to find out, or we have to simply show that X and Y are similar, they're comparable. In order to weaken, we have to point out that they're different. Lastly, we have data and statistics. At times, you will find author uses percentages, averages, and ratio as evidence and compare them with numbers. So the common problem here is that percentages and numbers cannot be compared. All right. So if I'm comparing percentages and numbers, so the most basic assumption here is that actual values are also comparable. For example, if the author says that 200 years ago, 90% of the people used to live in rural areas, and now only 20% people live in rural areas, and conclude that clearly more people used to live in rural areas, simply author is assuming that the total remains the same, because 90% of X can be less than 20% of Y, unless, of course, the total population remains same. In order to strengthen, we have to show that numbers are same. In order to weaken, we have to show that total values might be different. So whenever you author uses words like percentages, averages, and then compares them with numbers, please be careful. There could be a data or statistic flaw in that argument. So let's have a look at the template now that we can use in order to plan the essay. And what exactly do we have to write in our argument essay here? So the first paragraph is going to be the introduction paragraph. It's very important that we have different paragraphs, and we understand what are the right ingredients for each of these paragraphs. For example, an introductory paragraph should only introduce things and not explain items. Here, a typical argument essay should include the following in the introduction. You should start with the conclusion of the argument. You should start by paraphrasing the conclusion you can simply start by saying that the argument claims that and go on to paraphrase the argument, paraphrase the conclusion of the given argument. Then next thing you need to mention is the premise. So whatever reasoning has been authored, you need to mention that reasoning as well. Now, once you've mentioned the conclusion and premise, next thing you have to simply mention the logical soundness of the argument. Now, please understand all these arguments are logically flawed because only in an ideal argument you will have no flaw, no assumption. However, on all these questions that you will get, you will have some sort of assumption and flaw in the argument. Therefore, this logical soundness is always going to be same. So every single time we simply have to write the same thing, irrespective of what the argument really is. So the conclusion of the argument relies on assumptions for which there is no clear evidence. Hence, the argument is weak, unconvincing, and has several flaws. This is just one way of doing it. This is just an example for you how you can present the logical soundness. All right. You can simply write something like that the argument is logically not convincing as it rests upon unsupported assumptions. Something which helps you say that the argument is logically not sound. That's it. All right, because as I said, all arguments will have assumptions, will have flaws. So this is something that you can simply learn, and you don't have to waste any time thinking about what to write then. Next, in your introduction paragraph, you need to mention all the assumptions. Remember, for our discussion here, assumption and flaw is actually the same thing here. As discussed, causal planning, sample analogy, data, these are all different types of flaws, or in other words, these are assumptions made by the author. For example, in a planning argument, author is assuming that the plan will work. And that itself is the flaw because there is no proper evidence to support that. So that's it, guys. In the introduction paragraph, that's what we have to write. Conclusion, premise, logical soundness, and mention. Just mention the assumptions. No need to explain the assumptions in detail here. We'll do that in the body paragraph. Here, let's have a look at the body paragraph now and what exactly do we have to write in the body paragraph. So here, first body paragraph, we need to make a transition here. You can use transition words like firstly, secondly, thirdly. You can be more creative here if you want to. That's absolutely fine. Just make sure that you provide a link between the paragraphs. You don't start something new abruptly. Just provide a connection between the previous and the next paragraph here. So since the previous paragraph or the introduction paragraph, the last thing that we mentioned was assumptions, it makes sense that we start with one of the assumptions here. Now, what we need to understand is that in the same argument, you can have multiple flaws. So in the same argument, you can have a causal, planning, and a sampling flaw. So it's your task to figure out which one is the most obvious flaw, which one is the major flaw in the argument here, and that's how your ability to think critically is assessed. So you can make a transition by saying first the argument readily assumes, and within the same sentence go on to state the most obvious flaw. So whatever you think is the major flaw, you start with that flaw first. So for example, let's say we feel that planning flaw is the most obvious flaw in a given argument, so we'll start with that first and then we'll explain the flaw. So this is where you write 2 3 sentences where you talk about why is it a problem, what is that the author has missed, what are things that the author has ignored, what makes it a problem. So just highlight the flaw here. Once you've done that, the next and a very important point here is to simply mention 2 3 ways to strengthen the argument. See, so far we have only been criticizing the author, we have been pointing out flaws, problems here. Now it's our task to show how the author could have written a better argument. What are the points that the author has missed here? So a couple of ways to show that how the author could have written a better argument is going to be enough here. So you can write something along the lines, if the argument had provided better evidence or evidence that blah, 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 then the argument would have been a lot more convincing. Depending on what the flaw or what the problem really is, you can probably mention that These are things that the author need to consider. So, for example, if it's a planning flaw, if the author would have mentioned that the plan has been implemented earlier, or that the plan has had good result in the past, it could have been more reliable here. So totally dependent on what the problem really is. Next, in the second body paragraph, now it gets a little easier, guys. Uh, all you have to do is repeat. So again, transition, state the next obvious flaw. So what you think is the next major problem, you start with that. Explain that flaw, and then two, three ways to strengthen that particular flaw. So if you look at it here, each body paragraph for a different flaw here. So don't mix two assumptions or two flaws in the same body paragraph. Rather, make a separate body paragraph for each of these flaws here. So even if you're not able to think two, three, at least mention one point how you could have strengthened it, how you could have made a better argument, guys. So at times, I understand it may not be possible for you to think two, three ways, but on most occasions you can. Now, third body paragraph is optional. So why are we saying this is optional? Because at times you may not be able to find the third flaw, and that's absolutely fine. Uh, Even if you write two flaws, two well-written body paragraphs are going to be absolutely fine. However, if you are able to spot the third flaw, please go ahead. By all means, go ahead, follow the same strategy here: transition, next flaw, details, and then two, three ways to strengthen it. Secondly, at times there may be only two flaws. Even in that case, writing two body paragraphs is obviously going to be absolutely fine here. So three body paragraphs is the limit, guys, not more than that. As again, we're not aiming for a very lengthy essay here. So two paragraphs, good enough. If you feel that you have 3 points to write, three good points to write, please go ahead, go for that third body paragraph as well. Finally, we have the conclusion. Now, on an argument essay, conclusion paragraph is short, is not really on any essay concluding paragraph is not supposed to be that lengthy. Restate that the argument is not well reasoned, and summarize ways suggested to strengthen the argument. These are 2 points that you have to include in your concluding paragraph. So this is where you highlight again that the argument is not well reasoned, and just summarize all the ways that you have mentioned to strengthen the argument here. For example, you could write something like, in conclusion, the argument is flawed for the above mentioned reasons and is therefore unconvincing. It could be considerably strengthened if the author clearly mentioned all the relevant facts, and then you can simply mention what facts you are talking about. Or, in order to assess the merits of a certain situation decision, it is essential to have full knowledge of all contributing factors. In this particular case, blah, blah, blah is missing. Without this information, author remains unsubstantiated and open to debate. So these are just different ways how you can conclude your argument essay. So I hope this makes it clear as to what exactly do we have to write, what are points that we need to include in different paragraphs, and how you can plan your essay. Now, the moment you get your argument task, I suggest that you spend 3 to 5 minutes, again, depending on the time limit there. Spend this time to brainstorm, spend this time to plan, to identify the different flaws present in the argument. So, what you should do is you should deconstruct the argument, spend initial 3 to 5 minutes to identify conclusion, premise, and all the assumptions or flaws made by the author. Then prioritize which flaw do you think is the most obvious one, which one are you going to start with, and then all you have to do is put all of that information in the template that we just discussed, and there you go, you have your argument essay. So once the template is clear to you, all you have to do is simply deconstruct the argument and put all that information into this template. So here, let me show you a sample essay to help you understand how to write a complete argument essay here. So this is what the task is going to look like. Here we have the argument, and these are the instructions given. So let's have a look at the instructions first. Discuss how well reasoned you find this argument. In your discussion, be sure to analyze the line of reasoning and use of evidence in the argument. For example, you may need to consider what questionable assumptions underlie the thinking and what alternative explanations or counterexamples might weaken the conclusion. You can also discuss what sort of evidence would strengthen or refute the argument, what changes in the argument would make it more logically sound, and what, if anything, would help better evaluate. So there you go. As I discussed, first it's our task to evaluate conclusion premise, and then we have to simply mention what are different ways how the author could have written a better argument. So here, if we look at the argument here, it says most companies would agree that as the risk of physical injury occurring on job increases, the wages paid to employees should also increase. Hence, it makes financial sense for employees to make the workplace safer. They could thus reduce their payroll expenses and save money. So, if you look at it, there is definitely a recommendation here. There is definitely a strategy that the author recommends. So, it is most definitely a planning argument. The author has a plan to solve the problem. There is also a causal point here. The author assumes that improving safety is the only way to make money, to make that makes financial sense here. And obviously the author is assuming that all workplaces can be made safer, because I mean, this may not be true for all workplaces. This may not be true for different types of jobs. Let's have a look now what sort of essay can we write on this topic here. So this is a sample response for you. This is the introductory paragraph. This argument states that it makes financial sense for employers to make the workplace safer, because by making the workplace safer, then lower wages could be paid to employees. So as you can clearly see, we are restating the argument here. We are restating the conclusion, and now the author restates the premise. This conclusion is based on the premise that as the list of physical injury increases, wages paid to employees should also increase. Now, if you look at it in this paragraph, the author has simply mentioned conclusion premise. There is no logical soundness, nor do we have any mention of assumptions here. So let's see here. However, there are several assumptions made that may not necessarily apply to this argument. For example, cost associated with making the workplace safe must outweigh the increased payroll expense due to hazardous conditions. That's one. Also, one must look at the plausibility of improving the work environment, how practical it is. And finally, because most companies agree that at the risk of injury increases, so will wages, does not necessarily mean that all companies which have hazardous environments agree. So again, these are different points that the author has not mentioned, or these are the assumptions. So if you look at it, this author has actually divided the introductory paragraph into two different paragraphs. And that's absolutely fine. You can also do that here. Just make sure that you include all the ingredients. Next, here we have the body paragraph, and if you look at it here, we see the transition. The first issue to be addressed is whether increased labor costs justify large capital expenditures. Clearly, one could argue that if making workplace safe would cost an exorbitant amount of money in comparison to leaving the workplace as is and paying slightly increased wages, then it would not make sense to improve work environment. So, for example, if workplace safe would cost 100 million versus additional payroll expenses of 5,000 a year, it would make financial sense to simply pay the increased wages. So again, we have to really compare if it is logical to do or not. No business or business owner with any sense would pay all that money just to save a couple $100 or $1,000 and improve employee health and relations. To consider this, a cost benefit analysis must be made. There you go. The author is now recommending what should be done, what could be the solution to this problem, or how the author could have made a better argument. So here, the cost analysis should be done, and I also feel that a cost benefit analysis should be the determining factor with regard to these decisions make financial sense. It may not be the determining factor with regard to making social, moral, or ethical sense. So it may not be a factor or a deciding factor when it comes to social, moral, or ethical sense, but definitely this should be the key thing to decide if it makes financial sense or not. Here, let's have a look at the next paragraph. This argument also relies on the idea that companies solely use financial sense in analyzing improving the work environment. This is not the case. Companies look at other considerations such as negative social ramifications of high on jobs injuries. So again, it tells you what other things are important, and then gives you the example of Toyota here. Toyota spends large amount of money improving its environment while its goal is to be profitable. It also prides itself on high employee morale and an almost perfectly safe environment. However, Toyota finds that it can do both, as by improving employee health and employee relations, they guaranteed a more motivated staff and hence a more efficient staff. This guarantees more business as well as safety for the employees here. And then we have the final body paragraph. One must understand that not all work environments can be made safer. So again, a point I made earlier. So it's not that you can make everything safe because, for example, if you talk about the coal mining industry, now this is a job which is inherently not safe. So we can't really do much to make coal mining safer, and therefore there will uh, only be a limit to what you can do to some of the jobs here. So in other words, a mining company has limited ability to control the air quality, and therefore you explain what the problem really is. Here in the concluding paragraph, while at first it may seem to make financial sense to improve the safety of the work environment, sometimes it truly does not make financial sense. Furthermore, financial sense may not be the only issue a company faces. Other type of analysis must be made, such as the social ramifications and the overall ability of a company to improve work environment. Before any decision is made, all these things must be considered, not simply reduction of payroll expenses. So clearly, the author has summarized all the points that we mentioned earlier to present a more logical and a more sound argument here. So as you can clearly see, guys, an argument essay is it can be really, really easy for you if you understand the template. If you prepare the template, then it is quite easy for you to simply evaluate and present your analysis of the given argument. Keep a minute or two at the end so that you can simply recap your essay and check for any spelling mistake or grammar mistake that is there in your essay. All right. Thank you, guys. That'll be all for this.